a big reason that some folks became patriots or versus loyalists in the back country was who they thought had the better approach to, the Cherokee situation. Because one thing we didn't talk about when we were talking about the French and Indian War was the first Cherokee War, the Anglo-Cherokee War in 1758 to 1761, which was the Cherokees started out as British allies. And the Cherokees actually were the first to enter Fort Duquesne in Pittsburgh. If it wasn't for those Frenchmen looking up on the surrounding hill and seeing the Cherokees there, 200 Cherokees led by Richard Paris from what's present-day Greenville. Once they saw that, they jumped in their ships and they abandoned Fort Duquesne and sailed down the Ohio River, never to be seen again. So the Cherokees were their allies. On the way back, there were incidents with stolen horses and people getting killed.
Settlers just stealing horses, or the Cherokee taking horses?
The Cherokees, there's a couple of different stories, felt like they were either promised 30 horses by the governor of Virginia or they had 30 horses stolen. Now, when the Cherokees realized that horses were stolen, they went to the settlers in Virginia and said, who stole our horses? What clan did those men belong to who stole our horses? Because Cherokee tribal law says it's clan versus clan for any disagreements. And the settlers in Virginia were like, clan? We ain't got no clans. We're all one clan. So to a Cherokee mind, and this is the clash of cultures, if that clan stole 30 horses, then you had every right to take 30 horses from that clan. And when the Cherokees were in North Carolina, that's what they did. And the North Carolinians did not care for horse thieves at all. There were shootings that occurred. 30 North Carolinians were killed. The Cherokees come back home. The governors of North Carolina and South Carolina embargo the Cherokees and say, you cannot have any of our goods, no more blankets, no more shot and powder, until you turn over 30 of your warriors for retribution, and we are going to hang them. It was a demand for blood. And so... and
to the Cherokee system of governance, that was a total betrayal.
Right. Cherokees came down under a white flag. They knew what a white flag was.
To negotiate.
To negotiate with the governor.
In Charleston.
Yes.
They came all the way to Charleston.
About 25 of their leading men. They didn't have chiefs. They had leading men.
Right.
25 of their leading men came up and said, what can we do? What can we do? And the governor says, there's nothing you can do. You've got to produce those 30 warriors. And then the Cherokees said, okay, well, let us go back and we'll talk about it and we'll let you know. And the governor says, okay, that's fine, but you've got to realize this. The people here in the colony of South Carolina really upset with you and what you did. I'm going to send you an escort of some of my militia to take you back to Kiowee, and they're going to protect you. Well,
as a way to guard them. But once they got to Orangeburg, the escort arrested all those Cherokee leading men, tied their hands behind their back, marched them to the colonial fort, which was at Kiowee, Fort Prince George, put those 25 men inside a guard room built for 6. Well, then the Cherokee leading man of Kiowee, after, there was a standoff, he sends a message under a white flag that he wanted to have a parley. And Lieutenant Courtmore walked out of the gates of the fort and approached the chief who was standing on the banks of the Kiowee River. And at that point, warriors arose from the bank, and they shot Lieutenant Courtmore and killed him under a white flag, which they violated. Well, when that happened, all of the hostages that were inside Fort Prince George, they were immediately killed. There was a
a siege. The Cherokees completely blocked off Fort Prince George, plus Fort Loudon, which was in Tennessee at that time.
Now this was in
1759.
59, right?
Yeah,
at the height of the French and Indian conflict.
Well, it was winding down everywhere else.
Gotcha.
But it was going strong here in South Carolina. But the colonials, they sent a relief party under Archibald Montgomery to break the siege at Fort Prince George, which he did. He starts going further up into the mountains, and they got to Echoe Pass in North Carolina, and the Cherokees ambushed him there. Montgomery declares victory and leaves, but that wasn't enough. And they're sending another party under James Grant to chastise the Cherokees. And the 16 Cherokee towns in South Carolina were destroyed. At
the lower towns.
The lower towns.
Gotcha.
Plus towns in North Carolina and in Virginia. But
now, was Pickens involved in those?
Yes, he was.
Okay,
yes,
so that's an important thing to remember. So
yeah.
Pickens, which was a militia leader from the Lone Cane district, went up and was one of the leaders.
So was Francis Marion.
Francis Marion was too.
Thomas Sumter during this time was doing the same thing in Virginia. He hadn't come down yet. So, and these were all serving under British colonial officers. And that's where they developed their hitting, run, and ambush tactics from this Indian fight. But the relationship with the Cherokees and with the Native Americans, not with the Catawbas almost always settled with the colonists.
And so real quick, the Catawbas were a Siouan-speaking tribe in the northern part of South Carolina,
right,
in the Midlands area, Piedmont area. Cherokee were in the Appalachian Mountain area to the west.
Right.
And they really did not.
They did not get along at all. The
right.
Cherokees were Iroquois-based. The Catawbas were Sioux-based. And then the Creeks and the 20 or so small tribes along the coast of South Carolina, they were Muskogean.
Yeah.
And the Cherokees didn't get along with them either.